The morning sun spilled through the cracked blinds of the small apartment, illuminating the dust floating like tiny secrets in the air. In that soft, golden light, Arvin Malik stood frozen, staring at the empty chair across from him. The chair where his wife used to sit before fate stole her away 3 years ago. The chair he still sat every morning out of habit. The chair his little daughter, Suri, touched gently every night, whispering good night to a mother she barely remembered. Arvin blinked away the heaviness in his chest as he packed Suri's school lunch, reminding himself that heartbreak had no pause button. Life forced you forward even when everything in you begged to go back. Little did he know that a single knock on his door later that day would change everything. His home, his heart, and the future he stopped believing he deserved. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected miracles, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more souls who need hope. Arvin worked as a grocery store helper in the bustling city of Rawdon. It wasn't glamorous and it barely paid enough to cover rent, but it was stable. For a single dad raising a 7-year-old girl, stability mattered more than pride. Every morning at 6 a.m., he dropped Suri at her school, then caught 2 buses to reach the store, where he spent hours lifting crates, organizing shelves, and wearing a polite smile through exhaustion. He rarely spoke about his aching back or the nights he went without dinner so Suri could eat more. He had learned long ago that strength wasn't about being unbreakable. It was about choosing to keep going even when you felt shattered. That particular afternoon, while Arvin hurried to restock the front aisle, he noticed a woman standing quietly near the packaged food section. Not browsing, not shopping, just standing. She had an air of calm dignity, yet something soft and weary in her eyes. Her clothes were professional but simple, a crisp white blouse tucked into navy trousers. Her hair was pulled into a neat low bun, and she carried no purse, no shopping bag, nothing but a look of quiet reflection. Arvin approached her gently, assuming she needed help. "Ma'am, can I assist you with something?" The woman startled slightly, as if pulled back from a distant thought. She offered a brief smile. "Oh, I'm sorry. I must have zoned out. I just needed a moment." There was something about her voice, about the way it softened at the edges, despite sounding firm, that lingered with him. But Arvin didn't pry. He simply nodded and returned to his tasks. Still, throughout the next hour, he noticed her walking aimlessly through aisles, sometimes pausing to read labels she quickly put back. Something about her seemed lonely. As he prepared to leave after his shift, he found her at the store's front bench, staring at the sunset through the glass door. Arvin debated walking away. He was a stranger, and she owed him nothing, but something tugged at his heart. Maybe he recognized that empty look. Maybe he saw himself in her silence. Before he could second-guess it, he walked over. "Are you okay? Do you need help getting somewhere?" She inhaled slowly and looked up at him. "I'm Mira Venz. And no, I just needed a place to breathe for a moment. It's been a long few months." Arvin nodded. "I know what that feels like." Something passed between them, an unspoken understanding, a shared heaviness. When he checked the time, he panicked slightly. "Oh, shoot, I have to pick up my daughter. She hates waiting." He started to hurry off, then felt a strange impulse. Maybe it was compassion, maybe instinct, maybe something bigger than both of them. He turned back. "If you haven't eaten dinner yet, you're welcome to join us. My place isn't fancy, but you'd be welcome." Mira blinked, clearly taken aback. "A stranger inviting another stranger to dinner? That doesn't happen often." Arvin shrugged with a small smile. "Maybe it should." For a long moment she didn't answer. Then she nodded softly. "I'd like that." They walked out together, boarding a bus toward Arvin's modest neighborhood. Along the way, Mira didn't talk much, but her eyes softened as she watched parents picking up children, street vendors frying snacks, young boys chasing each other with laughter echoing behind them. The world seemed to remind her of something she had forgotten. When they reached Arvin's apartment, a tiny figure rushed out. Suri, her curly hair bouncing wildly, her school bag swinging. "Papa!" she cried, wrapping her arms around his waist. Arvin lifted her gently. "How was school, Ladybug?" She chattered excitedly about drawings and spelling words before noticing Mira. Her eyes widened shyly. "This is Mira," Arvin explained. "She's joining us for dinner." Suri smiled timidly and waved, then scurried inside to arrange the dinner mat the way her mother used to. Mira's gaze followed the little girl, softened with something deep and unspoken. Inside the apartment, Mira seemed almost out of place, not because she didn't fit, but because she carried an aura of quiet elegance that the humble surroundings contrasted sharply with. Yet she never looked uncomfortable. She touched the family photos on the wall gently, asked Suri questions about school, and praised the home-cooked lentil curry Arvin made. As they ate, the conversation flowed unexpectedly, about loss, resilience, childhood dreams, and the courage required just to keep going. Arvin shared small pieces of his struggles without sounding like he wanted pity. Mira listened, genuinely listened, with a stillness most people lacked. Eventually Suri fell asleep on the couch. Mira watched her with a sense of longing, an expression that told a story of its own. "You're a good father, Arvin," she said softly. "She's lucky." He exhaled. "I'm trying. Some days that's all I can do." After a long pause, Mira looked down at her. "Hands. Can I tell you something?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. "I came to this city today to escape a world full of people, yet I've never felt more alone. I'm the CEO of Ven's Tech Group." Arvin froze. He had heard of the company, massive, influential, powerful. He looked at her again, suddenly noticing the subtle confidence beneath her gentle demeanor. But all he said was, "And you're alone in a world full of people?" She nodded. "My success brought me everything except the one thing I always wanted. Someone who cared about me, not the title I carry. Someone who saw me the way you did today, as a person with tired eyes who needed a moment to breathe." Arvin's voice softened. "We all need someone to see us, really see us." For the first time that night, Mira's eyes glistened. They talked late into the evening until Mira finally stood to leave. Suri stirred slightly as Mira placed a tender kiss on her forehead. Before stepping outside, Mira turned back one last time and whispered, "Thank you for giving me a home-cooked meal and a safe place to feel human again." After she left, Arvin felt an emptiness settle into the room, as though something precious had slipped through his fingers. Days passed, weeks even. Life resumed its rhythm, but one afternoon, Arvin returned home to find a small envelope on his doorstep, tucked neatly under the mat. Inside it, a handwritten note. "I wasn't sure I deserved kindness until you offered it without expecting anything in return. If you ever want to talk again, or simply share another meal, you can find me here." Below it was an address, no company logo, no title, just Mira. Arvin hesitated for days. He worried she lived in a world so different from his that approaching her again might feel like stepping into a place he didn't belong. But one evening, as Suri practiced writing her name, she asked quietly, "Papa, will that nice lady come again? She looked like she needed friends." Children have a way of slicing through doubt with pure truth. The next day, Arvin stood outside the address. It wasn't a corporate building like he expected. It was a quiet lakeside home. Mira opened the door before he could knock. She smiled, a real, unguarded smile. From that day on, their worlds slowly intertwined. Mira visited Arvin's home more often, helping Suri with homework, listening to the little girl's endless stories and cooking dishes from recipes she had learned from her grandmother. Arvin, despite feeling out of place in her luxurious world, discovered that Mira preferred his cluttered apartment, his worn-out couch, his perfectly imperfect life. She often said, "There's more love in your home than in any boardroom I've ever sat in." But despite the warmth growing between them, Arvind struggled internally. One night, after he put Suri to bed, he finally voiced the fear he had carried for weeks. "Mira, I don't know if I can be what you deserve. Our lives are so different. You're successful, powerful, respected, and I'm just me." She stepped closer, her eyes full of tenderness. "You're the first person who saw me without wanting anything. That means more than all the power I have." Their connection deepened in small, meaningful moments. Morning tea shared before Arvind's shift, gentle conversations after Suri slept, quiet walks by the lakeside where their fears slowly cracked open. One evening, while they sat watching the sunset from Arvind's balcony, Mira placed her hand in his. "Arvind, if love is about choosing someone again and again, even on the hard days, then I choose you." Arvind's breath caught. He felt the heaviness he had carried for years finally ease, like a storm clearing after too long a rain. Months later, as winter mellowed into early spring, they hosted another dinner in Arvind's tiny apartment, just like the first night. The same simple dishes, the same warm glow. Only this time Suri was giggling in Mira's arms as if she had always belonged there, and Arvind wasn't staring at an empty chair anymore. He was staring at a future he never believed possible. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your engagement helps keep these emotional stories alive for more amazing viewers like you. Special request: comment "Hope lives here" if you believe that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life forever.